Sands, and welcome back to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hello, Levi.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Today, we are resuming the main story quest, and we'll be playing through the Stone Vigil dungeon.
Ooh.
So what happened last time, Jen?
Last time we immediately got mixed up in Ishgardian bullshit. Nobody wanted to talk to us. Shocker. So we had to ingratiate ourselves to a bunch of people. Shocker. And all of this in an attempt to confirm that somebody somewhere saw the Enterprise fly into Coerthas around the time of the calamity. That's all. Also Horshaphant.
We now seemingly have a lead on the Enterprise, Cid Garland's airship. And with the suspicions of our heresy on hold for now, this witness will speak with us. So the contact is an astrologian, a discomposed cataloger. He was in charge of monitoring the sky the night that the Enterprise passed through, and he reports that it landed near the Stone Vigil.
Great.
Another former watch post that was overtaken by the Dravanians because House Hyanar can't hold their shit together.
You know what? If it were any other house, I'm sure they also would have been taken unawares. But yeah, it's just unfortunate.
This is 2 vigils now that Hyanar has lost.
Yeah.
2 strikes.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
The witness speculates that the Dravanian garrison that had seized the Stone Vigil would have brought the airship into the fortress to, I'm assuming, just keep it away from other people.
So we can't use it, yeah.
Yeah. And we would need an army to assault the place. But maybe Horshaphant can help.
Yeah. He's like, oh, good, you found it. Oh, fuck, it's in Stone Vigil. Good luck to you. He does commit to writing a letter on our behalf. A lot of that going around. Lots of letters being written.
Yeah, the issue is that the area is sealed by order of House Durandare because there is a crusade almost that is being mounted to retake the Stone Vigil. That is being led by Lord Drillamont of House Durandare. Horshaphant will give us this letter saying, hey, these guys are legit. Why don't you let them in on your effort? But because House Durandare is so stuck up, he thinks we might need some second backup too. So why don't you ask Lord Francel, the guy you just helped out last time, to also give you a letter?
Yeah.
You got 2 lords backing you. Can't fail.
2 letters. And Francel, he's like, I will absolutely do whatever I can. You saved my life. But you understand that my words may not carry a lot of weight these days. So, again, here's your letter. Good luck to you. Well, he also warns us that because we were involved in the whole, exposure of the conspiracy, that whoever is trying to pin shit on House Hyanar, they're going to be after us now, too, by association. So cool.
Drillamont is stationed in White Brim Front, which is a fortress and tower that was erected to the south of the Stone Vigil, and it's there that the knights who will be making this reclamation effort are stationed. So it's like the backup fortress to the Stone Vigil, and this place is the only way to actually go to and from the little stretch of land that the Vigil is mounted on. So you must go through the front to get there. However, we get immediately stonewalled by the guard at the White Brim Front's gate.
This reminds me of Labyrinth or like Return to Oz. Just that, like, everybody you encounter is like, oh no, I couldn't possibly. You want to see the king, do you? Well, doesn't everybody? And then, they pass you off to somebody else and they're like, tee, just no way. Try this guy.
I don't know what the purpose is of doing it. I have 2 theories. So what happens here is that we have to go and talk to like 5 people to actually be able to see the Lord of White Brim Front. And either it's trying to give us the lay of the land in a kind of painstaking fashion.
Sure, yeah, like, you know, you have to go to this person, then this person, then you know, like, then you know where the storeroom is, then you know where the infirmary is, then you know where the barracks are.
Or they're just trying to, like, triple, quintuple underline how important this guy is.
I think it's all of those things.
Sure.
Yes.
But this place is a maze on the Z-axis, which I know that Jin loves.
Oh my god. Let me tell you how long it took me to find the goddamn storeroom.
There is one place that has 3 levels stacked on top of each other, and all of them have people that you might want to talk to.
Yep.
To compound that, these spaces are super claustrophobic. They are little stone rooms.
Yeah, these just... like you're turning a corner and you're like all up. If you're doing it in third person, which I always am because first person is for psychopaths, like half of my screen is filled with the back of my head because these corridors are so thin and you're making these tight little corners and pain in the ass.
So I have more than once walked past a person I was supposed to talk to because I couldn't see their talk to me marker.
You turn like 45 degrees and you've got vertigo. It's like blah, 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 because everything is so tight.
So here's what happens. We eventually get kicked over to the storeroom manager, Albois. We find her inside the fortress, but she's too busy. So she says, why don't we bother the head chirurgeon, Astidian, who immediately sends us to Sir Gudinor. Gudino?
Yeah, you know what? We forgot to do the disclaimer. Pronunciations are an absolute shit show. So it's like Gouda, but like Gudinu. Gudino.
Gudino.
Oh, that's good to know.
In the barracks. And we find him in the large tower of the fortress. We're getting close finally. Gudino tells us that, yes, Lord Drillamont is higher up in this very same tower, and we can go speak to him, but it better be short and to the point, and we better be polite because the Lord is busy and important.
Yes, sir.
So we head up to an upper floor of this circular tower on the south end of the fortress, and we finally get the dream team, Cid and Alphino, who finally decide to help us at last. They've been trailing in our wake the entire time, but have not yet once intervened to assist us on all this stuff we've been doing. Until now.
We plead with Dromont, like, this is what, like, here's our letters. This is what we're trying to do. This is why it's important. And he says, let me get this right. You wish to brave a ruined outpost filled with Scalekin to secure an airship that may or may not be there. Are you the avatar of the Fury herself? I enjoyed that. I thought that was cute. And then, yeah, Alphino and Cid show up as, like, backup. Thank God. And they name drop the Scions. They name drop Master Cid and Garlond. And Dromont is stoked, but also like, no way. That, like, first of all, the Scions were completely wiped out, and then Master Cid Garlond died 5 years ago. So who the fuck are you people? It's too good to be true, almost, to see these entities alive and well.
We say, yes, actually, we are those people. And he is receptive at first.
Of course.
You know,
it's amazing news.
It's possible. But then Inquisitor...
yeah.
Piece of shit.
This fucking guy. So he shows up and he's like, oh, no, I wouldn't listen to these guys. He starts like slinging mud at all of us and accuses us of being charlatans and calling the Scions a defunct band of misfits who were entirely exterminated by the Empire. Wow. What a gross thing to say. And Dromont is, I mean, that's all he needs to hear, right? Like, immediately, 180 degrees, like, wow, I almost fell for this bullshit. Thanks, Guillaume. You saved me. And, you know, away with you, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, this guy walks in, dumps a steaming pile of propaganda shit on the floor, and then bails. And now we're like, well, fuck.
So we can only now reach the Stone Vigil after these knights have retaken it, and we have revealed our true intentions.
which we have already, but okay. Understand, you know, in a witch hunt, true intentions means what they want to hear.
We head out saying, well, fuck, but then we get flagged down by the chef on the lower floor. House to fort?
House to fort.
Okay.
You know, it's like a house to home, but...
Sure. He has overheard the commotion.
Leave it to a chef, man, to be like, I know what's going on.
And says, if we want to be trusted, we should win over the soldiers.
The quickest way to a commander's heart is through the stomachs of his underlings.
So how about you get them some meat, because there hasn't been meat for days.
Yeah, they've been eating like tortillas and carrots for weeks now.
I don't think they eat tortillas in Coerthas.
You don't know.
I'm pretty sure they eat knight's bread.
But I thought.
That's not a joke. It's an actual item, and it's a quest reward that you get at one point.
Well, it's definitely not raptor stew.
That have meat in it, yes.
We get some raptor stew from House of Fort. His name is awkward as hell.
So he's like, take this vinegar and it might weaken up a mud puppy and go kill it and bring back its meat. So we do that. This mud puppy is one of those 8-eyed salamander creatures. We find it in the stone tunnel that runs from north to southern Central Highlands.
Danafin Pass.
This is one of those fights where you have to use the item on the creature to make it not a pain in the ass to fight. You can do it vanilla style, but it's
a little spicy,
shit.
Yeah.
These things are a pain, though, because the creature's auto attacks interrupt your use of the item. So if you're trying to dump the vinegar on it and then it hits you,
I had to do it like right away. And even then, I barely made it, and I had to stand in an AoE to do it. So
either way, we vinegar up this puppy and we bring back its meat.
Pickle puppy.
There are stakes to go all around the fortress. We feed the soldiers. They are overjoyed.
They are stoked. We're like, we'll do anything for you. We will say anything for you. We will suck your dick. They don't say that. But I bet if we asked, they'd be like, sure, you gave me mud puppy steak.
So we bring a steak to Sinuta, who is a caretaker in the infirmary. And while we're there, we learn from Cid that he wants to upgrade the alchemical alembics in the infirmary using cores from ice sprites so the tools can regulate the temperatures of the mixtures. This is some advanced stuff, but Cid has a glimmer in his memory brain of his old self that's cogitating on these alembics and these sprites, and he thinks he can make these pieces work together if he just gets all the parts. So we go and kill the sprites and bring back the cores, and Cid makes this cool device, and everyone's super impressed.
And they're like, this is going to revolutionize how we're able to treat patients. We're going to be able to make medicines and save lives.
Until Captain Jackass rolls up again. Inquisitor Guillaume shows up to say, hey.
Apparently he doesn't want us saving lives.
These guys are sus. What are their true intentions? Do you want to accept gifts from strangers, especially those who have interfered with an inquisition?
Oh, well, that's all he had to say, because now the chirurgeons are like, ew, gross. We don't want your stupid device. And thank you, Guillaume, for protecting us from these unbelievers. What a fucking dick. God damn it. And Cid's starting to get angry, and Cid doesn't really get angry, you know? He's pretty level-headed. Yeah, another fucking shit on the floor and then bailed. Now, okay, we gotta... Won't someone rid me of this meddlesome inquisitor?
That is now the mission.
Yes.
It's clear that we can't make any progress until we deal with Guillaume, because he keeps showing up to take fat dumps on us whenever we try and make inroads. So we're going to go and see what his deal is, and we ask around the fort to do so. Half the people we talk to do not want to talk to us because they've been Inquisitor pilled against us. But we do learn, though, a couple things. One, that Guillaume hardly sleeps. Such is his devotion, or something else.
What an incredible devout man.
The other is that there's a weird detail about when he first showed up here. The guard at the eastern gate, which, for the record, outside the east gate, there's just like a little lip of snowy stone that overlooks the sea of clouds, the big, impenetrable white expanse from which White Brim gains its name. So weird. And also, this guard apparently saw the Inquisitor approaching and slipped and fell, and then he regained consciousness after the Inquisitor had arrived and had evidently brought his body back to the infirmary. So, okay, weird.
I also really like how Housefort, I'm sorry, Housefort, that's probably not how your name is pronounced, but I'm doing it. His answer is so, like, it's painfully neutral. He just gives, like, the dictionary definition of, like, what an Inquisitor is. So it's like, I'm not taking fucking sides, I have my own personal opinions, but an Inquisitor is decreed by the Holy See to, it's like, okay, I get it.
So we go back to Alphino and compare notes, and he goes full Ace Attorney on us. The guard that fell was at the eastern gate, but the main road comes from the southwest. Further, The guard said that the Inquisitor was illuminated by the light of the city, being Ishgard.
In the background.
However, the city is to the north. How can someone arrive at the main gate being backlit by the city's lights at the east gate?
Yeah, so weird thing number one, why is he approaching from the east? There's nothing there but like a fucking chasm, literally. It's only there, so they can defend the fort against, Dravanian insurgencies. And then, two, his recollection made it so that Guillaume had to appear literally from the middle of the chasm. So, well, okay, we got to make sure, one, that this guy is remembering his story correctly. Let's see if we can get him to confirm those details and if anybody else was there to corroborate them. Fuck yeah, Alfino. Also, Alfino, with his little, exposed midriff thing, he's like, I am very cold, and I regret my wardrobe choices. Anyway, let's go get this done so we can get the fuck out of Coerthas. Yeah, man. We go outside of the front of the fort to look around and see if we can find anything that would corroborate these details before we go back and talk to Joe. I went through the southeastern door of the fort, and then I realized I probably should have got out the eastern door. So I just literally threw myself over the edge and landed with a thud. So when you walk out the eastern gate of Wipe in Front, literally 15 feet is a drop into nothing. But if you go north, where we think Guillaume, there is a path, a very narrow path that will kind of lead you down into the depths of the chasm. And at the base of this ramp, there is a desecrated wyvern carcass. And in the crook of its neck, there is a mound of snow. And when we approach, we are attacked by some plasmoids. Maybe residual, rancor, ether, blah, 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 something like that. So we kill those guys. Under the mound of snow, we find the body of an inquisitor named Guillaume. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my god, you clipped so hard there, Jen.
Probably, yes. Anyway.
Apologies to listeners.
It's a very exciting moment. So this guy, he looks strikingly like what is now the fake Guillaume. And we find on his body a bloody encyclical, which is basically a scroll detailing his job. So it's a papal decree saying, this is Inquisitor Guillaume. He's here to, inquisit. So that's a huge fucking, that's it. The jig is up, man. But now we have to convince other people that this is real. Or, that you should care.
Yeah, my minor gripe about this, and actually, when you got me to watch Columbo with you, I had the same gripe, that if we go and disturb evidence and bring it back with us, we are compromising that evidence. And
yeah, we should have parked our chocobo, keep others out of the the crime scene here. And then we go and we get, Drillmon and we get a somebody and we go back down and when we show them the stuff in situ.
Yes.
But
no, we disturb evidence left and right.
We get our bullshit and our biologicals all over the crime scene and it's fine.
Also, hey, look what I found. I swear I found it in this chasm by the inspector's body.
I swear. I totally swear.
Yeah.
I mean, the body's still down there. We could show them the body of the guy. But I totally get what you're saying. We just conveniently show up, though, they don't have DNA testing, but if they did DNA testing, they would confirm.
Oh, that's why we shouldn't be disturbing evidence. We should show them, hey, here's this body with this encyclical clutched in its hands.
We would be taking photos first and then putting them in evidence bags, and then there's a chain of possession. And
this is what I'm saying.
Nah. I mean, if they weren't doing that shit in the 60s, they're certainly not doing that in the 10s or wherever we are here.
We are not credible in this scenario.
Oh, no, absolutely not. So
they take us at our word, though, that we found this stuff and we didn't fabricate it.
Well, it doesn't work out. The first two people we talk to, they're
the same thing happens with the next piece of evidence, too, which is when it's why would you believe this? That's my question. So we'll get there in a hot second.
Well, these are very gullible people. Guillaume walks in and he says a sentence and everybody's what?
They believe Guillaume because he's the Inquisitor and they have to.
I guess.
If they don't, they're going to be pushed down the witch drop chasm. So
many chasms.
We need to go investigate before Guillaume is onto the fact that we're onto him. We go through the soldiers who we befriended before, pretty much. And he suggests that we talk to Zhou Yu?
I'm just calling, it's like a Zhou Yo.
Okay.
But I'm just calling him Joe, because...
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
Zhou Yu, the one that stabbed the Inquisitor. And he's in the infirmary recuperating from his fall. He's like, this is BS. I don't know where you got that encyclical. There's no chain of evidence. And the other guard who was out there will corroborate my story.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, to try to like run around to these people who are drinking the fucking Kool-Aid all day, every day, to throw out allegations like this towards an Inquisitor is completely unheard of. And you're gonna need more than a bloody piece of paper to do it. Also, Guillaume is responsible for this guy being alive right now, and he's like, I refuse to speak ill of somebody who saved my life. So
he thinks that he's responsible.
Of course, yes. Well, I mean, you sweet summer child.
So we talked to the other guard. This is Prunilla.
She was there with Joe that night.
And she tries to dismiss us, but we /doubt her.
Dude, okay. So I totally missed some of the subtleties. I mean, they're not very subtle. The first playthrough, we walk up and we're like, what's up, Prunilla? I got some questions about, this thing. And she's like, you! And then realizes, wait, I'm not supposed to know you. Okay, I mean, I don't know who the fuck you are. State your business. Leave me alone. Blah, 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 blah. Like, okay. Somebody has told her what we're doing, who we are. Okay, suspicious. We hand her the encyclical and we're like, hey, we know that you were there with Joe that night. And like, this all happened at the same time. The Inquisitor came from this direction and this is where I found this body, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, are you in the habit of giving like blood-soaked pieces of paper to strangers? Okay. I don't know anything about it. Leave me alone. So yeah, we call her out.
Then we /doubt her. And she breaks and reveals that Joe didn't fall. He was attacked by a Dravanian. And she rushed to help, but she couldn't see a beast in the snowy darkness. She instead heard a voice. It told her secrets that only her family would know, and threatened to torment and slay everyone she knew if she didn't keep quiet. When she relented, then Inquisitor Guillaume emerged from the darkness. Prunilla knew he was false, but was too afraid to go against him.
Totally. Yeah, there's nothing she could do. Eventually, she stumbled upon the fake Guillaume stash.
Well, what happened was that when he accused Francel...
She was like, I gotta do something.
Yeah, so then she spied on him and found him going to his box full of rosaries.
Right. Which, up to this point, he had been very judicial in distributing. So what she did, and this is why, like, in the last episode, we were like, why would they were so, like, sloppy with the distribution of these rosaries. Obviously, like, these guys are dumb. But no, that was the point. She was the one who planted these rosaries in the House High on Art stuff before they were ported into Camp Dragonhead. And she did that on purpose so that it would trigger somebody to go like, that's really fucking weird. And that exposed the conspiracy and saved Lord Francel's life. She's like, that's all I could do.
Yeah.
Without risking my life and the lives of my family.
Implication being that she was too ham-handed with her placement.
Correct.
So it looked suspicious to people who were
totally
somewhat detail-minded.
Like in one carriage, literally every single box for House High on Art had a rosary in it. That's ridiculous. So it totally worked. And we were able to save his life. But we're able to now like find that little stash.
Yeah. We go outside the fortress on the southeast corner. There are it's like a little cliffside. And we find buried in the snow, there is a box full of these draconic rosaries.
I feel like he probably should have kept them in his chambers. Like, who's going to go in there and like toss a cell that belongs to an Inquisitor? But, whatever. In the snow is also fine. And
this is where I'm like, where's the credibility here? Because we disturb the box, we bring it with us and show it to Lord Drillamont, saying, hey, look what I found outside. All these draconic rosaries that I swear they're not mine, I promise.
Let's pretend in what's not said is that they dusted for prints and his prints are all over it.
They could have just had us like say, hey, you got to come with us. And then we go outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is not an episode of Columbo, so they don't do their due diligence.
Columbo has the exact same thing where the evidence is all extremely circumstantial.
Oh, no. He's busted people on fingerprints before, so he's like worn gloves. Like he's entrapped people, not in the illegal sense, but I mean,
probably in the,
he's
probably sometimes illegally.
He's a fucking brilliant man. Okay, don't you dare besmirch Columbo.
I've seen Columbo
twice
take evidence
Oh.
and like say, "Hey, look what I found, guys! I found this on the suspect."
See, he's making a calculated risk there, right? So this is all part of his master plan to lure his prey into a false sense of comfort, thinking that they're still the smartest guy in the room or girl. And at the end of the show, bam, motherfucker, you fell right into my trap. It's a great show. Great character.
I don't dislike Columbo. I just think that some of his busts are very...
No, it's not realistic. It's not realistic at all.
Anyway, on to the Ishgardian Columbos.
Which is us.
Columbo of Light.
Yeah. Oh! Write that down.
You write that down.
The Columbo of Light!
If you want it, write
trench coat bearer.
You can make Columbo. There is a Columbo trench coat that's available.
Fucking love it. How cute would that be on Otis?
Do it.
So cute.
Well, you've got to get to 90 first because it's tied to 90 content. Write that somewhere. Well, you'll remember it.
I'll earn it with my other one and then mail it to Otis.
It's bound.
Oh.
You have to earn it on your character that's wearing it.
Well, someday.
Someday.
Okay.
Anyway, we bring this massive box full of these draconic rosaries to Lord Drillamont, saying, "I found these, I swear, they're not mine." And between us and the bloody encyclical, and he talked to his soldiers too, maybe.
Yes, remember, we fed them, and...
Prunilla, specifically, who is the one who actually will testify in our favor.
Yeah, we got hella witnesses now.
Hella witness.
Hella witnesses.
Finally, all this stuff is enough to convince Drillamont, and he flips again, being like, "Fuck that Inquisitor, he's an imposter, let's go get him."
Great, perfect. Let's go.
We get the mirror of last time's finale, where we have to race now to Snowcloak, which is this pass that collapsed during the calamity, and now it's an ice wall that's full of all these huge chunks of rock.
Yeah.
And the Inquisitor has another victim out there he is trying and going to execute in moments. And his victim this time is just some random explorer. He found some lady off, like, walking in the snow. He's
right.
Like,
heretic.
Guilty. Yeah.
And she's like, "What? I don't even fucking know you." It's like, "Yes, but you will know Haloni and walk in her halls very soon, my child." Like, it's so gross. So it's us and a couple of House Durandare knights, and then Lord Drillamont himself. Drillamont the Honest.
And now Drillamont accuses Guillaume of being a heretic, to which he simply laughs. How can he betray that to which he owes no allegiance?
Fair.
And then he turns things around on Drillamont. His hands are bloody with those whose sole crime is to reject Ishgard's crusade against the dragons. All Ishgardians are complicit in draconic murder.
There's some truth to what he says here.
This is some foreshadowing.
Yeah.
If we desire retribution, though, come fight. And so we do.
Yup.
This is a pretty basic fight.
Yeah, I failed it the first time.
Wow. How? Explain.
Drillamont died.
I guess that's fair. He got pretty low in health for me too. He does not dodge AoEs.
Yeah. So it's like you really have to make sure that you are focusing damage on Guillaume in his various forms. There is a healer. I played as a white mage. And obviously there was a healer in the mix too, but it got to a point where it just wasn't enough and he died. And
healing
I failed.
NPCs is so hard. They have so much health.
Dude.
And they do not avoid damage.
So this time I was like, okay, all right. So like the first time I did it, the Durandare Bard went off and fought some of the ads and he died immediately. I'm like, maybe I just throw a regen on him and okay, great. So then he came back, and then he was able to, add to the fight against Guillaume, which I'm sure was very helpful.
So the way it works, though, is that we fight Guillaume and some Dravanian ads that come in to join us. And then when Guillaume gets low on health, he transforms into a big Avis. And his health bar is recharged, and we knock him down again from full health.
Yeah, and it's a glamour. He doesn't literally transform into a wyvern. At the very end, when he's like huffing and puffing after we beat him, he's like, my glamour's dispelled.
We don't know much about who he is, really. We can infer from that line and also from his appearance, he must be one of the people that sympathize with the Dravanians.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, literally a heretic, according to Ishgardians, yeah.
As he expires, Guillaume declares that the Dravanians in the Stone Vigil will defeat us and destroy White Brim Front. And with that business done, Drillamont apologizes to us and says we should have never been involved in Ishgardian politics.
Damn straight, but you fucking made us. Seriously, you made us.
Yep. So we return to White Brim, and Drillamont again apologizes, and now, believing us, states his awe at being in the presence of the Scions and Cid Garlond.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Alpha No, though,
we were all surprised he was alive.
Is relatively magnanimous, but he's got his eyes on the prize. So how about that Stone Vigil?
Yeah, he's all business. Just a bossy little kind of somewhat of a dick.
Drillamont reminds us that there are Dravanians holed up in the Stone Vigil.
Oh,
but
we know.
4 Scion army here to go in and take this place down. So we are granted permission to enter, and we head north to the Stone Vigil. The Stone Vigil is a frozen stone fortress overrun with dragons and scalekin. It is one of the 4 vigils that were built to protect Ishgard from Dravanian forces. However, it has, as have the others, seen better days. And this place is now wrecked up. The ceiling is pretty much smashed in at all points, so the former corridors are now just covered in ice and snow. The place is filthy with Dravanians. And that's about all there is to say about it, honestly. Yep. It's a medieval-style fortress that is filthy with dragons.
Cool.
Our path here is going to take us throughout the ruined interior and also at some points onto the very precipice of the Sea of Clouds as well. So it's cool to go and see that off to your side as you're fighting your way through and look out and see that big, snowy, cloudy expanse.
Yep.
And because this is a Realm Reborn dungeon, it's got lots of side rooms. Some have monsters, some have treasure. That's about it. So let's get to it. So we head into the vigil. Periodically during our assault here, there will be a spindly green dragon that descends and breathes flame down the corridor we're standing in.
Just like a intermittent raid wide as we're running around.
You can dodge this if you are in front. It's possible to sprint forward and avoid it, but it's just a little bit of damage.
It's
so
fine.
Whatever.
It's flavor.
And we fight our way through the first stretch and end up in a courtyard. Our way forward blocked by a wall of flames. The first boss faces us down. This is Chudo Yud, who is a thick-ass dragon with a club tail.
I don't really remember this guy too much.
Chudo Yud has a single mechanic, and it's very important. He will periodically go to one of the compass points of the courtyard and cast Swinge.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a super strong conical attack. But the key thing, though, is there is no telegraph to this. It is just a cast bar, then it goes off.
You just have to know to not stand in front of them.
And this is teaching you now that there are abilities you need to learn how they work from the name and not just watch for the ground patterns.
Yeah.
And that's it. We knock them down and press on.
We press on. So more of the same. We do encounter some ice sprites.
Yeah, the ice sprites are worth mentioning because they're will
tough.
Fuck up
they
a
will fuck
pull.
You up. Yeah, that's why I didn't run as healer. God damn. Yeah, I've run this a few times, and it is. I mean, it's. I think we've talked about it on a previous episode where like so many healers are just completely just like, what the fuck? Because it's such an escalation from the previous dungeon.
Well, everything is fine except the ice sprites, and If you are doing them one group at a time, whatever. But if you're doing a mass pull where you grab all the enemies between different stopping points,
really tough.
The ice sprites do so much damage and they will overwhelm your tank and healer.
Yeah, you like the tank and the healer have to be on fucking point with their, with their mitts and everything. Like it's unforgiving.
I usually, when I'm tanking the dungeon, I just stop on the sprites and I do not push my luck.
Yeah. Because, again, like, unless you're in a party with a healer and you know what their skill set is, fucking just one party at a time. Don't wall-to-wall this.
Anyway, we run into another wall of fire, and it's being sustained by our fire-breathing friend that's been harassing us from above the entire time so far. This is the thin to the earlier dragon's thick, a little green dragon named Koshai.
So he's in one of the, the battlements on the perimeter of the building.
Yeah, it's like a rectangular stone balcony.
Yeah. There used to be cannons in this that we would have to utilize to shoot him, but that doesn't exist anymore.
That whole fight got rebuilt, which was fine. That was kind of
a little clunky,
finicky. Yeah, so this is better.
So yeah, it's a fairly straightforward fight. We do have we have tank busters that are going on here, some AoEs, and then we have the Typhoon, which is Koshai will call in a bunch of 4 essentially like dirt devils, like tornadoes,
snow devils,
typhoons, and you'll have to note, 2 of them are going to move first and then 2 will move after. So you just have to like move into the safe space and then move out of the upcoming dangerous space. So that's just a slightly new mechanic. And that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yep.
The last stretch is super short and we reach a metal gate overlooking a big stone courtyard. And we can see on the far side a frost-encrusted airship, the Enterprise.
There it is. Over the back of a big sleeping dragon. Actual dragon. What's his name? Ishgardian?
His name is, Ishgardian.
So he's sleeping, and so the cutscene here is Cid and Elfino are like, okay, so we're not here for the dragon. Let's just forget about the dragon. We're going to go straight to the airship. And Cid just go ahead and like get that thing going, which is hilarious. Like this thing that has been coated in rime and rusted by time and cold. Cid can just go up there and in 10 minutes can like get it working again.
Just run the engine and it'll melt.
It'll just let it, warm up for a bit. So that's what they do. So they kind of sneak on by and we're standing there waiting for some shit to happen, just in case. And of course some shit happens. La Habrea shows up because of course he does. He's like, oh, okay, so you're going to be going after Garuda next. Interesting. She's real, powerful, though, so I don't think you're going to do very well. At the same time, it would be very foolish of me to underestimate you, the Bane of Titan, the defeater of Ifrit, the bearer of light, or the whatever the fuck. And so, wow, it'd be a real shame if this dragon woke up and had to fight you. So he wakes up the fucking dragon and bails. And now we gotta fight the dragon, as Cid and Alfino look on in horror.
This fight, it's pretty easy if you know how it works, but it got me the first time, for sure. The main mechanic here is that Ishgardian will take flight sometimes, and when he does, he will cover a third of the arena with this big icy telegraph. And a few seconds later on, he will swoop across that section and hit the whole thing with a big blast of ice. All you gotta do is just move when that appears and you're good to go.
You hang out in the center, then you can kind of scooch.
You get into trouble if you are either too centered on one, quote, lane, or if you're on the far side of the arena and you don't give yourself enough time to move if you're in danger.
Yeah, just keep an eye out, look for his shadow, see where he's going, and then just scooch.
And about halfway through, he adds in some aerial bombardments, just like icicles, circle AoEs that you have to dodge.
Yeah, they'll follow you, so you just bait it. Move, bait it, move.
No big deal. And we prevail.
My thaumaturge died to that.
That's only shameful because there's no arcane circle yet. So he's got no excuse to not move. Right?
Yeah. I was very surprised at that.
I'm assuming you mean the NPC thaumaturge.
Correct, yes. Did not do this with players.
Not trying to bag on an actual player.
He got hit by a few things at that point.
I had the thaumaturge in my party too because I was playing Dragoon. And I wasn't watching their health. I wasn't playing healer, obviously, so I wasn't paying that much attention. But I didn't notice them getting beat up.
Yeah, I think it was just like a kind of a perfect storm of things. But our conjurer got him right back up again, so
nice.
Hooray.
The dragon dies and dissipates into aether, leaving behind a floating blue ice elemental crystal. We grab it and add it to our collection. We just have wind left, and we're good to go.
That's it. We beat the game.
And as we were installing the crystal in our mind, we were zoning out IRL, and we wake up to Alphino yelling at us.
Are you dead? No, you're not dead, thank God. I was really not looking forward to finding another champion, so thank you for that. Anyway, should we go? Let's go.
He gives us a small compliment.
Yes.
He was sure we'd be slain by the dragon, but we weren't.
Great.
Good job.
All right, let's go.
So up on the airship, Cid gets it working.
Up on the airship. Up on the airship.
Oh my God,
Cid
that's
Garlond.
terrible. And the engine kicks in, it lights up, and the wings start to move. It's not going to fly well, but it will be good enough for now.
It'll get us to Gridania. Perfect.
Yep. Alphino would love to head for the Howling Eye, but we have to make repairs first, so off we go. And we get a departing cutscene showing the airship flying through the sea of clouds, wreathed in snow.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet. We land in Gridania, and Alphino is like, thank God, I was freezing my ears off. Anyway, but yeah, we're in Gridania now.
That's where we'll leave off for today. So they got me, Jen.
Yeah?
I was complaining last time about the ham-fistedness of the rosaries as the evidence stand-in, but Prunilla was the one who was planting them for that exact purpose.
Correct. So it was ham-fisted on purpose.
I assumed it was a lazy story device, but I got.
We both did, because we both forgot.
I know, but I was more indignant about it than you were.
That follows, yeah.
Either way, the second part to this quest line is really satisfying too.
Definitely.
It's super cool going down in that chasm and finding the body buried in snow. That's a super great moment.
I know. I remember doing that the first time and I'm like, oh shit. Like I didn't, like, yeah, we're going to find a clue, but it's going to be like a torn page out of a book or something,
a rosary.
Or what other, like, you know, we've done so many of these quests where we have to find clues and it's like an empty bottle. Not literally like the dead body of an inquisitor with paperwork saying that this is Inquisitor Guillaume and who the fuck is that guy. So good. It literally unraveling a mystery. It was very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
And like having, like using the environment to corroborate details and determine like, you know, where somebody was and the circumstances of their arrival. And it was great. Total Columbo episode. It was great.
That area, too, it's really scenic.
It's haunting and gorgeous.
And we get to go back to the Snowcloak entrance, too. That big icy area.
That place is also very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's God, it's almost like, it's like an amphitheater or like a weird, like, chapel of some kind, you know, of like nature carved out a chapel. That's what it would look like. Because
I'm doing all the side quests here to make sure there's no corroborating details for the main story, there's actually a little base camp out there that is positioned to kind of watch over and also recover people who were lost in that collapse. Mm-hmm. And one guy wants you to go and find his wife. And there's actually like a platforming challenge in a sense. I guess not platforming so much as traversal challenge.
Sure.
Where you have to go all the way up, winding up the side of that collapse until you're a good distance above the ground, and there's actually a path you can take that goes all the way up there to find her body.
I remember that. I did that last time. I didn't do it this time, but yeah, that was very sad.
I was just surprised it was so traversable, honestly.
Correct. Like that there was actually a way to climb up, because typically there isn't.
Because we were just in the optional level 70 adventure zone. And there's one objective there.
Segment 3.
4.
Is it 4?
Yes.
Fuck me. Okay.
There's one thing there you have to do that requires you to go onto terrain you normally can't go onto. Yeah. Like every other place this occurs, you can't walk on it, but this one place you can. So the game's fucking up my expectations of what is and is not actually like accessible.
So finally, I found something before you did, and that was very satisfying for me.
Good. Enjoy that.
I will, because it'll never happen again.
All the quests here, there are a fuck ton of quests in this area, but they're all just like little slice of life things. Nothing really substantive. Just, hey, there's a Coerthas coming from the from Camp Dragonhead, and he got lost on the way. Go find him. Just like little bits of color, but nothing that actually
informs
supplements
the story.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the dungeon goes, though, Stone Vigil is kind of weird because it's a very attractive dungeon, aesthetically speaking. It feels cold and frigid.
Yes.
But also, it's not very interesting to rerun.
No, I mean, and because it's like, frozen and dilapidated, we've seen so many dungeons that are literally just like piles of rubble. And like, oh, this used to be an amazing structure, but now it's piles of rubble. So we've seen that, and now this is just a pile of rubble that's coated in ice and snow. And instead of being overrun by, evil toadstools, it's dragons. The rooms are, I mean, it's like a fort. There's a barracks. There are, just corridors, battlements. It's nothing like, I remember going through like Totorak. I'm like, oh my God, this place is beautiful. Because like when you're in the upper areas, you've got like the gaps in the ground above you, and then these giant old growth trees and the roots and the light filtering down and the water. And yeah, this is just like running through dilapidated old rooms. It's like Karn, but with snow.
Sure.
Fewer staircases.
But beyond the aesthetics, also mechanically, nothing here is that interesting to replay.
No, it's like the same combination of like, there's like an Avis, some dragonflies, and then a couple of Avises, and then an Avis and some dragonflies, and then you get 2 bouts with ice sprites. The
boss fights too are mainly variants on moving between different danger columns.
Right. Though they do introduce mechanics that are new to you as a new player.
I'm talking about the replay only, not about the first time.
Okay.
This is my replayability review.
Yes.
The first time is fun. No complaints as the first timer. It's a lot of fun for sure to go through that on the first play.
Yeah, it's a definite uptick in difficulty.
Yep.
But on replay, absolutely. And I kind of hate the final boss fight because there's so many times where he goes invulnerable and he's like flying off and he's doing this shit. And meanwhile, like your cooldowns are just, your abilities are just languishing, and while he's flying around, you can't do anything. And
in theory, they should be balancing their health for invuln phases if the boss has invuln phases.
It's just like you're like just standing around.
Sometimes I actually like that because then that gets my cooldowns reset, so I'm ready to burst again when he comes back down.
No, not when I have like Mage's Ballad going and it's just like ticking away and I have all of these.
Well, maybe learn the fight better, Jen, so you're not wasting your cooldowns at bad times.
That's what I think of that.
You tried getting good, Jen.
Nah.
Next time, we are talking about the minor job quest through level 50.
And that will do it for today's episode. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. We love you. Heart emoji. If you want to reach out, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com or on Twitter at podreturn. And we hope you enjoyed the episode and have a great day or night. And we will see you next time.